Yo, what's up? What's up? What is going on? What is crack-a-lack? And how's everybody doing today? How's everybody doing? Welcome. We will start. Today is pretty much an open panel. You know, for what I'm doing right now. Um, it's going to be pretty much an open panel today. Just talk about some stuff. I want to kind of get away from the whole Rona, whatever you want to call it, Heineken, stuff like that. I want to kind of get away from that a little bit. Due to the fact of the matter is, we've been talking about it for a minute. We just need a little break. Hey, what's going on, Vonda? How you doing? Shar, welcome. Just an open panel just to see how everybody's doing. Far as keeping up with stuff. If you still want to, drop it in and talk about some things and what have you. What I mean, that's cool. In this time in this day and age, we got a lot of stuff going on. But what I want to talk about is how you kind of dealing with it. Like, what have you been doing to keep yourself busy? Just get like a bird's eye view. Just how people are dealing with it. Me myself, I've been staying busy. We've been on the Gray Regime Gaming, doing those streams. Of course, Cerulli has been doing what he's been doing with his content. Shardra, he's been pretty much running the gaming channel. Cruz over there, he don't want to play with us no more because his eyes hurt because of our, we ain't got those 60 frames a second. We don't got that 60 frames a second action going on. Where he's popping. Hey, Poetic Kells, what's going on with you? Hey, hi, what's cracking? But yeah, just some things been going on. My wife is actually currently stuck in the UK right now. And she's dealing with it over there. Kids are doing what they're doing. They're getting through it, how they're getting through it. But things in the news, that new documentary with the Bulls, The Last Dance. People have been talking about it. I haven't yet watched it, caught it, but I've caught whiffs of it. And just catching up on some anime, some stuff like that. And catching up on some anime, reading some manga and stuff. And I got a lot of stuff that I want to talk about and do in these coming months and stuff like that. As far as content, just being stuck in the house, man. I don't mind it, but as a content creator, you can only do but so much being stuck in the house. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Just talking and stuff. Usually I got some music coming in. I got things set up a little bit, doing a couple of things that I like to do, bring you some articles from the news and stuff like that. But since we're being bombarded with so much stuff lately, it is what it is. You you kind of want to chill out a little bit and relax a little bit. I think a lot of people's relationships they're getting to a point where they're really trying to find out if they really like each other because you're spending so much time. I see a lot of people making posts on Facebook. They're funny. There's a lot of things. It's hilarious. Is joke filled, but people are showing a lot of things. Being that they can be one with, but me myself, this what we're seeing is the beginning stages. I don't think that we're going to really feel it until around in different nuances around like the later part of the year, harvest season, and things like that. What's Poetic Gal says, oh, you love pizza? Like, what type of pizza you like, right? Because me, I'm more of a margarita guy. Like, ever since I went to Italy, I got that, that margarita thin crust pizza. That's just that real Sicilian pizza. I like Naples pizza too. But what I mean? The deep dish, I'm cool with the deep dish. It depends on what type of deep dish that it is. It depends on what type of deep dish. Oh yeah. Yeah, real talk. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I've seen a lot of people, they took it up baking. They've taken up a lot of things. They found things they wanted to do. I was talking to Cerulean, and he was talking about doing some home renovations, but stuff in the hardware store. He's been playing like hardware, what do you call it, musical chairs, because it's a lot of men out there, being able to fix the house, doing some things with their kids, having quality time. So in good and bad ways, the world was, I guess, it was going too fast, and it has actually slowed everything down. Far as my experiences and things with myself, um, I see that they're going to push a lot of things, automation. A lot of these people that have lost their lives were in a lot of these infrastructure and service sectors, um, of of the world, like in the community, in these countries, and that's a lot of knowledge that's gone, because it's an abrupt, like, loss of knowledge. You know what I'm saying? And what I think, for instance, far as a lot of issues and things of that nature, is that we, as people, should pass down our knowledge, and this is a time for us to teach and make up for that knowledge, because you never know what's going to happen. Healthcare is going to take a major turn. This election season is going to be weird. Y'all don't be surprised if Trump he gets another term of office for default. You know what I mean? Don't be surprised about that. Don't be surprised. Vonda says, hold on, let me pull it up right here. I'm slipping. Self improvement. I've had time for several facials, and I don't eat as much. You know what? I've noticed that too, right? You don't eat as much either, right? You don't eat as much either. Because you're busy and you're not. It's just you find yourself busy, right? I've gotten a lot of rest, like ridiculous rest. I'm trying to get my body back on schedule. Like, how has y'all sleeping patterns been since this been going on? You know what I'm saying? How's sleeping patterns been going on? Hey, what's going on? How are you doing? And peace and wellness to you. Um, how's y'all sleeping patterns been going? Far as this been happening, because mine's been a little bit off. And there's, what I'm saying, like, it's been a little bit off. I've been waking up like maybe 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. I've been going to sleep earlier. Been just resting. It's, yeah, like it's like you in this weird function, right? And I guess it's all of this pressure about what's going to happen next, because if you're in this groove, you don't know what to do. Like, you don't really know what to do. You don't know what's going to change. A lot of people, what I'm saying, they're not essential personnel, so at any time you can be called back in to work, and you don't want to, I guess, get into a groove of doing something and then you got to abruptly stop it. But I don't think this is going to slow down anytime soon. I'm thinking we probably ain't going to kind of get some type of normalcy back until like around June-ish. Um, I'm thinking that that's just me kind of looking out of how they do things, how planning is going. But what I would say is this is a perfect time for whatever you thought you were going to start doing, do it. Right? Like, or start it. You know what I'm saying? Start reading some things, you know what I mean? Get your information when you can, but you gotta cut it off, because I guess I'm doing this stream today for that reason. Because my last couple of streams, my last 3 streams has been quoting this and that and this and that and different areas of it and stuff like that. But my content for this channel wasn't really about that, because I do different things. I'm into different things, so I don't want it just to be on this. Jose Vonda says, I don't take naps, and I thought that I'd be in bed all day, but once I got up, I'm up. I do stay up kind of late though. Yeah, we do too. Like I'm a late person. I guess but I've always been like that. I could try to blame it on the military, but I got this weird thing about sleeping too much. You know, I feel like I'm missing something, right? You can sleep, like they say, you can sleep when you're dead or something like that. But the older I get, the more I don't want to sleep. And you know what I mean? Like is like I always got to keep myself busy. I always got to keep myself busy. I said it since November. Yeah, June is going to be the new normal. Yeah, I think, you know what I mean? I think we're going to get into some type of normalcy because they can't keep everything locked down coming to summertime, because that's where economies really make the most of the bulk of their money, because people spring, summer, and in the early fall, and then, you know, in the winter you go into those laws. But we got so many holidays back to back, so that kind of keeps everything confined and going. Now, how's everybody doing with them stimulus checks? Did y'all get them? Is it, you know what I'm saying, do you, like, you know, getting them? Is that working? Like, you know, because I can't get one because I don't live in the country. And last time I paid taxes in the U.S. was 2008. So, but I pay taxes here, so we got some type of stimulus going here. It's instead of doing it like it's like 1,000 a person or something like that. They try to up it, but that's neither here or there. It's some things that you got to mitigate and stuff like that. But far as I know, mostly every country has been affected, is doing some type of stimulus, and it's kind of like the same type of thing. I know I was talking to Classic Ruby, and she said it's different in Canada, and it's different places. But for here, from what I've read, it's like 1,000 a person, $1,000 a person, and stuff like that. But they're still moving around here. Like is not as much, but they're still moving around somewhat. There's places closed like coffee shops, Starbucks, McDonald's, places like that. But it's not as full bore like it is from what I've seen and what I've heard from in the States. From what I heard from the States. For most of, for a lot of people, they're not understanding that this is affected. And I knew it was serious when they canceled the NBA season. Like when sports venues start getting canceled, seasons start getting canceled, they start doing this. That's when it's serious. Because I remember when 9/11 happened. I remember that because I was in, and they still had Sunday football. Like they still had football season, and it kept going. And this stopped sports. So it's serious when they stop sports. You know, it's and that just tells you the severity of this. Now, a lot of people are saying, was the reaction quick enough? Was the reaction this? Was the reaction that? Did the government move fast enough or not? That's neither here nor say, because we live in a super PC culture, right? So what would you going to do? Stop everybody that came from China from coming in, right? Block the border. You can't come in, turn them away, and all this other stuff. Like if you did that would have mitigated things. And frankly, I think it wouldn't, because the people that were really affected, that really got hit, from what I recall, is in New York was I think it was a county outside of New York where a lot of people that have money live at, that they travel abroad, and they brought it back with them. And so you can blame that, but I think nobody was ready for this. Nobody was ready for this, basically. Vonda said, my stimulus went straight to the bank, and that where it stayed. There's nothing that I need to buy. That's what I'm talking about. Defer, Vonda. Defer. That's what I'm talking about. Now, that's some sound advice. Don't be going out here being a multi-thousandaire, well, a thousandaire, right? And spending your stimulus check, because that's for bills and stuff. That's for you. But it's not really a stimulus to me. I'm like, you paid your taxes, right? That's your money. Like it's not a stimulus. It's your money. You know what I mean? Like stimulus is giving you something that's to help you, but you don't have to pay it back. It's just to give you something to boost the economy, right? This belongs to you, right? Now there are some people that ain't gonna get it. And, we're not going to touch on that right now, but it is what it is, right? Let's see. Jacqueline said, "I haven't got mine yet, but I got to check." Okay, yeah. From what I heard, Shar was putting it out there. On her stream, y'all can go check her channel. Shar, can you drop the link to your channel? I know you're in the chat. The super mod. But Shar was saying that people that getting checks, y'all probably won't get y'all's until May, mid or end of May. But the people that were doing direct deposit for your taxes, y'all were going to get them quick. And Vonda's got hers very quickly. The corona is giving the economy. The economy was teetering on a fall. We were teetering on a recession anyway, so this actually kind of mitigated and slowed things down. Far as what I can see, this is kind of like a reset button. Really, it is, right? Poetic Kel says, "I got mines. I left it right in the bank, and I got what I needed." That's what I'm talking about. Right now, this is not a time to get them shoes or whatever you need to do, but it's a time to learn how to minimalize your life. I've been watching. I don't know why, but I just felt this. I've been watching for the last almost 2 years. Minimalist, being a minimalist, like minimalizing your materialistic things. I've been looking at tiny homes. How you can maximize the space that you're in. I guess because I'm in Asia, and they use a lot of stuff like that. But I actually starting to like seeing it now. I haven't lived in one, or I haven't practiced these principles to that degree. We were a family of 5 living in a house. Now it's just me, my wife, and my youngest son, because my older 2, they're older, they're grown. You know what I'm saying? So they're doing they're being adults and starting their families and stuff like that. But with my younger son, I noticed that I don't need a lot of space to do things and stuff like that. And plus, we're busy, we're traveling and moving around and moving a lot. But me personally, I don't like to pay a lot of bills. Like I don't like to pay stuff that's that's spending money for no reason. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this is what it's showing people. Do you really need this? Like, you're right now, and everybody's looking at their bank sheets. Like, should I pay this? Should I pay that? Should I pay this? You know what I'm saying? Let me scroll down these down here. Let me welcome some people here. Callie James, salute and support. Oh man, Cerulean, brother Cerulean, the esteemed Cerulean, Classic Ruby. It is always a pleasure. Topaz, how are you doing? How's everything? I wish you wasn't busy. Get you up on here. You need to start your streams up again. I love them streams with you and Ruby in there talking and sharing information and stuff like that. Let's see. Yeah, so and then and Q Wilson, of course, Q Wilson is here. But yeah, like this, this whole thing has stopped, it stopped some things, it starts some things. People are re-engaging themselves into into understanding what it is. What it's also doing with the younger generation, what I've noticed, is because of the internet and social media and stuff like that, this younger generation has been detached from personal contact. Just from personal contact alone. You know what I mean? They have not been engaging with each other personally because they can just do it over text. Like, they don't have this decency and decorum. People talk to each other any kind of way. It's like that point of humanity is gone. You know what I mean? I grew up, I grew up in the 80s. I'm an 80s baby. You just couldn't talk to nobody some type of way. You wanted your teeth. You know what I'm saying? Or you had to build those relationships. You were forced in that block radius in that neighborhood. That was your microcosm of the world. And before you can move out, now people have so many options of dealing with people. People have closer relationships with people in different countries, different states, different prefectures, different territories than they do people right next door to them. And you're going to need actually that person that's your neighbor next door to you when something hits the fan, just like right now. And family. I see family members are coming together right now. Family members are coming together. Um, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, sure. So let's see. I will soon and just taking care of some things. I wish I could come up. I would definitely. Sure. When I try to do these, I try to do these either on Tuesday, you guys' time, or Wednesday, because my schedule kind of flip flop sometimes. I try to do it 9:30, 9:30 Central, which is usually it's in the morning for me. If I can't do it on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, I'll try to do it on Thursdays. But we got this thing running in the gray regime. Like, I try to do it. We try not to overlap each other so much. Because we want everybody to be able to support each other with the content and stuff like that. So I chose this day of the week because I think it's cool and stuff, and we can all support each other without anything. What's up? What's going on, Chaos? How you doing, man? Let's see. Vonda says, I have been talking to my family more often. We have a group text and Zoom meeting. See, now that is the proper way to use technology and everything like that, is because you can still stay in contact with your family. I would suggest to everybody, if you have relatives, you have family members, please check on those family members. Please check on those relatives. Just stay in contact with them, even if you don't like them as much as you think. Please just stay in contact with them and stuff like that. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's what I mean, it's just what I mean, another thing that you're starting to understand your mentality of yourself, in your own head. Sometimes that we're so busy we don't get a chance to think, and then when you get too much time to think, you don't really understand, how in your own head sometimes is a scary place. Fear starts to set in. Um, fear starts to set in, and you don't know what to do, right? And what I would say to you, sometimes it's good to take a breather and maybe talk to someone that knows you, like a relative that you're really close with, that's older than you, that has experience. Because think about the older generation. Like, they've been through wars, they've been through things that we haven't really assessed to that point. And with modern technology and wars, we see it, but we're kind of detached. Whereas in the boomer generation or the generation before that, they were actually right dab smack in the middle of it, and it really affected them. And that was when the Industrial Revolution caught in. What I would like to ask is, anybody reading any books? What books are you reading? What books do you recommend? I have a couple of books that I've been checking out and reading. I can't really comment on them because I've been off and on the titles, on the chapters. I just been picking it up and stuff like that, and just to get something, you know just to get my mind off of things. Just as men, and I'm speaking from a man's standpoint. I wish I had a lady up here or a female up here that she give her standpoint off of it. But as men, we worry a lot about stuff. We worry about family. We worry about how we're going to, the esteemed Cerulean says, meet the burden of performance. How what can we do next? The older we get, this job market is going to shrink. Automation is going to be enforced. Will I have the same will I be able to provide for my family, what the economy is going to do. And, and from what I observed, women, and this is just my observation and, just still my opinion at the same time. And these, like I said, when I say this, when I mean my opinion, my truth from what I see and what I observe is women are worried about the children, the household, holding everything together, being the rock that keeps the family together, while the men are worried about the environment and conquering it and stuff like that. So this whole dynamic, and children, and if you're doing your job as a parent, if your children's running around having a good time and thinking they just having a good time because they ain't got to go to school, then you're doing a good job as a parent, right? So you're doing a good job as a parent. You're doing a great job as a parent. But this whole thing, I've noticed that, I've noticed some things that people are not making the best decisions. And I'm not saying the majority of people. I'm just saying the minority of people are not making the best decisions. They're risking their health. They're risking things for nothing, right? And I like to give, all those people that are healthcare workers, people that work in sectors where they got to do service, delivery drivers. These guys are the heroes, right? Because they have to be on the front lines of this. They're putting their life at risk to deliver goods to you. And they have to take steps. Like when I stepped into the grocery store, they got this curtain thing up and they got this thick, this kind of thick rubbery see-through plastic, and everybody's wearing gloves and they got masks on, and basically they got the tray where you put your money in, because Japan is still a cash-based society for the most part, and you put your money on the tray, and then you put the money on the tray, they take the tray, they put the money in the drawer, then they hand you your change, then there's another person that grabs the tray, disinfects the tray, and put a new disinfected money tray on the counter, right? And before the next person step up, they wipe down the counter, right? Now, they're taking these steps. Now, I don't know if they're doing this where you guys are at, but for some reason, and I was with another person, they were in line, they were proper distances behind me, but they were like, kind of like, man, I'm scared. I was like, no, this is what needs to happen. This is what needs to happen, because this is what's going on. This is what needs to happen. And they're actually doing something that needs to be done. And I actually feel safe that they're taking these precautions to do this, protecting the workers, protecting the customers, and making sure that everything is good to go, or mitigating the risk as much as possible, right? Mitigating the risk as much as possible. So I'm welcome to the panel, Sergeant Curzon. What's going on there, buddy?
Hey, good evening. I wasn't following up to this point, but regarding the
Uh-oh. The Borg monsters got you.
Got you. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah. So this is so let me go through these comments here. Class of Ruby. Okay, this is Poetic Kells. Everybody, see this is what I like to see in the chat. People, the mods and the other and everybody else that's watching the stream and stuff. They're engaging with each other. They're talking. They're having a cordial conversation. And this is how I like to have the chat going during the stream. Like I said, once again, we do not negotiate with terrorists. I will say that over and over again until it goes home. But I like to see this. I like to see us coming together as people and so forth. You know what I'm saying? Ruby's over there hiding in the back cave and stuff. You know what I'm saying? I see how it is, Ruby. I'm messing with you. But let's see here. Vonda said, this is the longest I ever stayed at home consecutively in 20 years, and I was a little depressed. So I took Sergeant Curzon's advice and started a project, i.e. self-improvement.
Oh, what'd you get into? See, this is what I want to hear about.
Hey, that's what I like to hear. So, Vonda, what did you get? like to get it? Like, what did you get into? What is? DJ Music. Salute, Supreme Elder. Salute. And Neek is here. Neek is here. Salute to you. Salute to you all always. You know, the the Ebony Star Network is here. The Ebony Star Network is here in full force. And the Supreme Elder. But yeah, I was like, I was shy. I'm done with shy. Yeah, so no, I'm like, it's just open panel, man, just shooting from the hip, you know what I mean? Just talking about just the general consensus of the world and stuff, you know, how this is affecting us, you know what I mean? Today will be just, you know, we just talking, man. Just giving everybody a breather so they can just voice their opinions about things. If they want to do it in the chat or if they just want to come up on here and say a couple of words and whatever, man. So what is your thoughts? How is this affecting you in the positive and not so good negative?
Well, I mean, I don't really. I haven't taken the huge hit that everybody else has because my job's critical infrastructure. So,
but like, what have you noticed? You know what I mean? Far as your observations from other people that in the sector of, well, you're in like what they would call what, Middle America or the West,
Midwest,
Upper Midwest. How is it affecting those individuals where you're at?
For the most part, it's before the oil field. It was a farm town. Mm-hmm. It is affecting the oil field in the sense that oil prices have dropped. So a lot of people are either out of work or going to be out of work shortly.
So what you're saying to me is that the complaints of having high oil prices actually employed people.
Yes. As a matter of fact, I know people out here who, without anything beyond a high school diploma, can get a job making $70,000, $80,000 a year to start before raises. Before bonuses. But that was during the oil boom. Right now, I don't know that anybody's going to be hired for another 6 months.
Whoa.
You know, the hiring freeze will be in effect.
Mm-hmm. Now, we know, like, you know, when people are used to, because people say, man, if I was making this amount of money, I'd be fine. And what I've noticed in my life and through my own rash, childish decisions as a young man, when, you know, you get some money, you actually raise your status of living. You don't actually stay in that same status, right? Like, your spending habits actually grow with your paycheck, right? Where a person can be making $80,000, $90,000 a year, but they'll be living paycheck to paycheck like a person that's making like $30,000 a year before taxes, right?
Well, see, a lot of people forget how much taxes actually take out from them, first of all. So they think, I can afford to spend a little bit more. Oh, I'm making a bigger paycheck. I can afford this. And people don't realize the two number one things that prevent people from saving and being wealthy. Uh-huh. And I say the two number one things, one will be taxes and the other one would be debt. Because a lot of people don't realize that the debt they have, you have $5,000 in credit card debt and you're making $50,000 a year. Do you know how long it's going to take you to pay off that credit card if you have to do all your living expenses along with that? Let's say your living expenses are $2,000 a month, you know, $1,000 for rent, $1,000 for, you know, electricity, food, water, phone bill, all the other stuff, right? That's about average in America right now. If you are making $50,000 a year and you have $5,000 of credit card debt, the numbers on this play out where your first $12,500 is immediately taken for taxes. So just say goodbye to that.
So second now, of all, you're like what,
37.5.
37.5, yeah.
Minus the 24,000, and if you're making the payments on that credit card, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to go ahead and you're making what, $500 a month in payments, roughly.
Yeah.
That would get you paid off by the end of the year. But it also means that you're spending $2,900 a month, which puts you roughly $36,000 a year that you're spending. Well, a little. Well, you've got a leeway of about $400, right? But $2,500 a month puts you at $30,000, and you've only got roughly $6,000 or $7,000 left for that. And if you have a vehicle,
oh yeah,
there's going to be maintenance costs. If you have a place that you are renting that isn't necessarily an apartment, you're going to have maintenance costs.
Yeah,
and all your other toiletries and stuff like that.
Insurance,
so
yeah.
At the end of the year, you really don't have that much money. So you might be able to pay off one $5,000 credit card bill, but then you go ahead and say, oh, well, Christmas is coming up, and let's get everybody gifts, and you put up another $2,000 worth of credit card debt before the end of the year.
Wow. See, and you're right about that. Like a lot of people don't realize that. And I learned that real quick. You know what I mean? Because you growing up poor, right? It's like, man, when I get the money, what is that? And what I learned is, wealthy people actually are more stringent on their expenditures than poor people. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like they do things that they do a lot of bartering of services. You know what I mean? Which people don't understand. They still pay whoever they're in business with, but they give each other discounts and they do what they call bartering of services. Right? Hey man, if you do this for me, I'll hook you up with this guy, get you this contract, but give me a discount on this, or something like that. Like they do that a lot. I learned that in business, connections, and everything, and that's where they build their own enclaves and communities.
Yes.
In certain things, you know what I mean? Like, oh, this guy's a teacher and stuff like that. Hold on. DJ Music said something about at Just DeAndre. I hear about the beer and soda shortages due to COVID-19. Yes, they're having that problem in Japan with the beer because of the CO2 manufacturing plants. They're not getting. They don't have people at work because it's non-essential, because that CO2 that they need is actually used for the ventilators and for the oxygen tanks to regulate the ventilators for people that need to be on the ventilators. So that CO2 that you need for your pop and for your Budweiser is being those shipments for those tanks are being shifted to those areas for the hospitals and stuff like that, for the hydrogen and the gas and things of that nature. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Just stuff like that. Just stuff like little stuff that we take for granted. You know what I mean? Hey, if you can't get no beer or soda, I guess you're going to be drinking some Uncle Nearest. Uncle Nearest is drinking some tea.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying? It was drinking tea. Hey, Verbal Assassin, how you been? What's going on? How's everything? Appreciate you coming through. If you'd like to come on the panel, just let me know. I'll drop the link somewhere in the back cave so you can get it. If you would like to come up. Neek said, if you pay your credit card balance before the end of the billing period, you will not get charged the interest. Yes.
That is correct.
That is correct.
Also, so when you leave a balance over at the end of the month, you can pay it before the end of the next month and you don't get the interest. So you can actually quite literally put $1,000 on your card, right? And when the bill comes out, then after the bill comes out, you have your 30-day payment period or whatever that is. You pay that during that time, no interest.
Exactly. Now here's another thing. Because I used to work, those like when I was in high school, I got a job working at this bank called MBNA, right? And basically we would just call it around, get people on credit cards, right? Pretty much. But when you go through your NDOC, they tell you how the credit card system works, the interest rates, the introductory APR, the fixed APR, blah, 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 right? And this is during the Clinton era. So the highest interest rate in Maryland that they can actually give you on this credit card for MBNA, just a standard credit card was like 18%, right? the introductory APR was like 14%, right? If you had good credit, it would actually start off at 14%, right? Now, if you can find a credit card right now for 14%, you pretty much like a gold or a platinum, right? With the way the rates are working now. And this was back in like 97, right? So when I learned about credit cards and selling them was easy. Then I had to work collections. This is when I was scared of credit cards, like terrified. I ain't never getting a credit card. I ain't never doing that, right? Never ever, right? Because I just saw the pain and the frustration of people, right? But when I got older, I learned how they work, right? And I went to the bank and I talked to like a financial liaison to start up some stuff, and I starting up share certificates, um, and then I had a financial liaison when I was in the military, and guy was really good with money. Dude had like $500,000 in the bank, and he was like, he just made what we would say an E6, so he was about 25, 26 years old. The dude was great with money, right? And he broke it down to me. He said, if you want to raise your credit score, lower your interest rate, you got to invest into the bank. The bank doesn't have money. The bank just secures and loans other people's money, right? So if you become an asset, not a liability, then you'll get a low interest rate credit card. But what you should use a credit card for is big purchases that at that time that you cannot put yourself in a hole to pay for, like things that you need, like if you're going on a trip, plane ticket or stuff like that or whatever, or if you're you're buying appliances or things of that nature, or you need a rent a car or something like that as the backup or whatever. But he said you should, if your credit balance is 10 grand, he said you should never ever go past 3 to 4 grand on that credit card, right? You know what I'm saying? And he said, and then that minimum monthly payment, in that minimum monthly payment, right? Don't pay the minimum monthly payment because you're just paying the interest. The bank's just making the money. If your minimum monthly payment on your credit card for you to keep it up or whatever, to pay off whatever, say it's $150 just to pay it so you're not delinquent on a payment, you need to pay $300. So you're paying down the loan and you're paying the interest if it rolled over into the interest, right? But the best thing to do is never buy nothing with a credit card that you can't pay off before the 30 days is over. That's the best thing, right? Credit cards,
precisely.
Credit cards should be used. What I mean? It should be used just in case something happens. You have no other option but to use the credit card. You know what I'm saying? It's a fail safe.
Now, ideally, right? This is something that Black people don't generally have enough money to do. But when you do get enough money to do it, have a savings account and have an emergency account. These are two separate things. Do not dip into your savings for an emergency. Your savings is meant to be there as a way for you to accumulate wealth over time. In The Richest Man in Babylon, right? He gives this story and he tells the person, always pay yourself first, because you pay the guy for your water bill, you pay the guy for your electric bill, you pay the guy for the clothing, right? You pay the guy for your rent. But at the end of the day, how much of that money have you saved for yourself? And very few people have anything that they've paid themselves.
Yep, exactly. Because my family used to teach me this, right? When you get your paycheck, right? Now I'm a exclude the God thing, right? Right? Because they were Christians and preachers and stuff. So they say you give a tenth to God, right? You pay your bills, right? But you break up your check in a third and you put a third in the savings. Anything left over after you done paid your bills and your savings, that's for you to do whatever you need to do with. And your bills also include your food. You know what I mean? Because people don't put their groceries into their food. Yes, it's an open panel, and welcome to the channel. And who may you be? Can you please write down in the chat who you may be, because it's an open panel, but it is highly regulated. You know what I'm saying? And what Chandra said is very you know what I'm saying? You should pay yourself, and a lot of us forget that. We forget to pay ourselves. We pay everybody else but ourselves. And your savings account is your payment.
And what ends up happening is if we don't pay ourselves, right, we look back at, oh, I've been working for the past 10 years. How much I got to show for this? Oh, I ain't got nothing to show for this, because every time an emergency came up, or every time, this person said, oh, you know, your cousin baby needs some milk. You happen to be dipping in your savings to bail somebody else out. And, we do it as Black people. We love our family, but at the same time, you got to take care of yourself, because guess what? That cousin's baby is not going to be there when you're 50 and they're pushing you out of the corporation because they can't afford to pay your medical bills anymore.
Okay, no problem. I'll let you on the panel because this is just the open panel and stuff like that. If one of the mods in the chat, if you can just drop the link to the panel in the chat, I'll make an exception for this one time. But usually, since you act so nicely, I usually don't do this. So could you just drop it in the chat? But if I feel that there's any type of weirdness or disrespect or anything like that, you will be excommunicated. You know what I'm saying? And welcome if you come up here. Welcome. Yeah. So yeah, it's you are correct. Greetings and welcome, esteemed brother Cerulean, and
your greetings, esteemed Just DeAndre, esteemed Chandra Kurtz. And salute to the chat. Our esteemed Ebony Stars.
Okay, no problem. Maybe you can catch the next stream and introduce yourself at a later date. You're free to peruse and introduce yourself in the chat room to the moderators and the other people that are in the clouds that are watching. And thank you for the support. Appreciate it, Nick, for dropping the link. Thank you very much. Yeah, so really, you have the floor.
Well, how are we? I see we talked about money.
Oh yeah, this. Hey, listen. Hey, you mentioned that pitching where Shar will come out the woodworks. Pitch. Pitching.
Man, pitching 401k. Greatest racket since what was the famous guy?
Ponzi.
Was it PT? Well, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that severe is.
Are you talking about PT Barnum?
Yeah, PT Barnum. Greatest racket since PT Barnum. Money, isn't it interesting? During all of this time, Congress sits on its hands when it comes to the people.
Mm-hmm.
When it's time to bail out America, it is always slow to act. But we have a great many derelict that says that voting doesn't matter.
Mm.
Whenever it comes to the corporations, you notice when the banks needed to be bailed out, it only took about 6 hours to get that through. 6 hours. That's all it took. Banks are in trouble. We need a bailout. Oh, well, how much do you need? We have about a dozen empty checks, some that we meant to write, some we forgot to write, and some that are available now for your choosing. Just write whatever amount that you need on there. Oh, you got 800 billion last time. Well, I'll just go ahead and make that 1.2 trillion this time. Let's say America needs a bailout. America's homeowners, America's working, poor, middle class. Well, you know, well, what do you mean by bailout?
Mhm. What do you mean about bailout? Yeah, and this is the thing that we were listening to that we were listening to that
Oh yeah, the angry.
yeah, the angry guy. Yeah, you know what? Hold on. Do I got this guy still up here? Because I thought what he said was hilarious at the same time. You know, and I told I showed it to the esteemed elder, the supreme elder, DJ Music, and you know, he got a kick out of it too, right? But I'm gonna play this for you guys, and let me know if you guys can hear it.
With Instagram, Google Plus, your sister's ass, the Pony Express, a very thick off.
Can y'all hear that? Give me a 1 in the chat if y'all can hear that.
Indeed. Did he say your sister's ass?
Yeah, the Pony Express is there. Yeah. So hold on, let me see if this guy's let me pull it up.
Thick here. You know what ticks me off? Having to tell the government what to do because they have their heads in their asses. Now follow me. There's something that's been bothering me, so I'm just going to say it now. Dear government, we understand that the virus is not your fault. It happened. It is what it is. I'm not going to get into that idea that maybe you could have acted sooner. We can deal with that when this is all over. But here's the deal. We need a real fucking plan. It was the right move to make everyone stay home because that's the only way to deal with a virus like this. But here's where I have a problem. So, you told us to shut down non-essential businesses. You told us to go home and quarantine. You told us we have to keep social distance and stay inside. But you told us you would help. So where is the fucking help? These checks are what they are. I mean, let's be serious. I'm not going to turn away $1,200 because number one, if you're going to give it to me, I'm taking it. And number two, it's our fucking money, not yours. We pay that in taxes for everything we do every fucking day. So, okay, look at the typical family, mortgage payment, healthcare payment, car payments, electric, water, garbage, phone, blah, 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 blah. So maybe the $1,200 covers the mortgage. But what about all the other costs that we have each month? This $1,200 thing isn't doing shit for the normal working family. You want to help? Here's one idea. Tell the fucking banks and mortgage companies to stop all mortgage payments at this time. Just stop them. And don't give me that 3-month furlough bullshit. How does that even make sense? So someone who lost their job because you said to stay at home doesn't pay mortgage for 3 months, but in the 4th month they have to not only pay that month that's due, but also the 3 months they owed in full because it was furloughed? How the fuck does that help, you greedy cocksuckers? Someone.
Now, this is, you know, my channel is not set for folks that, you know, that for younger viewers or anything like that. So he's cursing. This guy has his own channel. I dropped the link to his actual channel because he does this a lot. It's really funny. I'm not going to show his video while he's doing it. He's turning red in the face. I'm going to keep it going. But yeah, we're adults here. You get the gist of it. But what this man is saying is absolutely true, right? Like absolutely true, right? I'm gonna keep it going though. I'm gonna let it play. But he drops a lot of truths.
Were just unemployed and not earning money for 3 months. They weren't earning money. Hello? Now they just start back to work and all that money magically appears so they can pay the 3 months in a lump sum. How are they fucking paying that? Are you fucking idiots? Look, it almost makes sense that they can start paying the current mortgage due for the month when they go back to work. But they can't pay the prior 3 months. They had no income. So here's the idea. Just add the 3 fucking months of furlough to the back end of the loan. So if they had, let's say, 19 years and 6 months left in their mortgage, just add the 3 months. So now they have 19 years and 9 months. How fucking hard is that? You'll get your money, you shitbags. It's just delayed. The working stiff wins if you do that. It really helps. It actually helps. And what mean, come on. You literally make billions of dollars in profit quarterly. That's every 3 months. The last crash was 10 years ago. So you have 10 years of massive profits and you need a bailout after 2 weeks of a shutdown? How come we, the people, have to save for a rainy day, but you save nothing? Every fucking quarter that you made $3 billion in profit, not income, profit, and all that means you paid all your salaries and bills and everything you needed to pay to run a company for 3 fucking months. So every time you made $3 billion in a quarter, if you had just put $1 billion in the bank, you'd have $40 billion in the bank after 10 years. That's not even including interest. But no, you greedy cocksuckers have to get bailed out again from our taxpayer money, and then you shouldn't have by not giving us a real break on our mortgages, credit card bills, or car payments, or anything, and the government allows this. We get fucked. We bail you out, we get fucked. Rinse, lather, repeat.
Now, Cerulli, didn't you just say that?
Indeed.
Didn't you just say that? I'm like you didn't say it as much as he said it. You know what I mean? And they say that we act ignorant and ratchet, but but you're pretty.
Well, you know that undignified white man being separated from his money rage. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've always said it that there's nothing more dangerous than a white male with religious. With kind of a religious background, whose benefits just got cut off.
Right.
He's got a Bible in one hand and a gun in the other.
Hey, listen. Look, sometimes to get the point across, the coffee may be black, but why does it always go through a white filter? Let me continue. Let me continue to play this.
You dirt neck fucking piece of shit should have had more than enough money to keep paying your workers and give everyone a break in mortgage payments the way I said for the time being. And again, I'm not saying to wipe the slate clean. I'm saying to just add the missing mortgage payment to the back end of everyone's loans. Do it for everything. The car lease is now 3 months longer. The credit card payment is now 3 months longer. The mortgage payment is now 3 months longer. You want to help the American worker, you could eliminate all payments due until this is over. That way, unemployment and stimulus checks would only be needed for food. That's what the American family needs now. That would help us. You greedy cocksuckers and you government lackeys who suck the balls of the big corporations and shit the people are just as bad. Shame on you all. There could be a real plan in place, a real plan to get people through these next few months, a real plan to be testing, a real plan to allow workers who are considered non-essential to not worry about catching a virus and losing their house. You do the right fucking thing, you peckerheads. Having to tell the government what to do because they have their heads in their asses, that's what fucking ticks me off.
All right.
Well, it's even like worse than what he's saying, right?
Yeah.
Because in reality, he's being quite mild.
Oh yeah.
He could have really went hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
With the stimulus that the banks got alone, $2 trillion. Right? You're looking at every family being housed in this country. Literally.
Well, what we at 400 million people?
We're at 400 million people, and you're looking at about roughly 80-something million families that are homeless or underemployed.
So
yeah.
4 trillion, well, I mean 2 trillion 500 million, 400 million. That's about 55,000 per family.
Yes. You're looking at housing for every family in this country. With that same 2 trillion, you're looking at every homeowner who has a homeowner's or a home loan that is under $250,000, completely rent free, debt free, mortgage free, yada yada yada. Now, if you put stipulations like, say, for instance, if you're a homeowner and the rest of your mortgage is under 250,000 and you do not rent it out as a turnkey business, you're literally looking at a society in which there are no homeless people. You're looking at a society where every child has a shelter over their head. You're looking at you would actually have change left over to feed the now sheltered population, those 87 million or so families. That's how much money is literally just being thrown away to the banks. Why is it that the American people are getting less than what the banks are getting? Why are they cutting a bigger check for the banks than what they are for the people?
Wait. Since when did they cut a check for the people, though? Because if you remember, that $1,200 are coming out of next year's tax return, so they're not really cutting a check. They're saying, we're just borrowing from your next check.
Oh, so basically, they're doing it like a pawn loan or a payday loan.
It's a prebate on your next year's tax return. So they haven't cut a check to the American people. They're just giving you your money back early. Your next year's tax refund is going to be short $1,200 or $1,700.
So in other words, if say you don't, or say for instance you don't owe any taxes for next year, you're going to actually end up owing money next year.
Yes. That's why I said it's not a stimulus plan, because they're basically loaning you the money that they owe you. And they already know that if you didn't go to work for 3 months, right, then you will automatically be in a lower tax bracket. So you're not going to get that money anyway. So it's a win-win for them, and it's a lose-lose for you. It's just to keep it going.
So we are watching yet again another redistribution of wealth. Not only that, you're watching a government-backed so a coup d'etat or being forced into debt. I mean, this is literally like Prussian era, Nicholas I type economics going on here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when Ferdinand I was murdered for a similar thing, market manipulation, forcing populations into debt. One of his forebearers, who's Nicholas I of Prussia, under which Dostoevsky was writing about.
Yeah.
He decreased the middle class by forcing them into a type of debt that they would have to repay back to the state. Is one how he ensured that the nobles of his court would remain loyal, and two, it was also a way to monopolize the totality of state power. Sort of like Emperor Palpatine. If your parishioners or your constituents are too poor or broke, then your future is basically secured. You can appoint your dog to king, and nobody could oppose you.
So, Cerulean, Verbal asked in the chat, because I remember seeing this in a news article, breaking down that this is a loan on next year's. Like you're basically getting your taxes and this year, and you're getting part of next year's taxes. So your tax return. Do you know where this literature is? Because I forgot about where it was at when I saw it.
Yeah, we can nab it. We can nab the literature.
Yeah.
Let me get the work looking into the archives real quick.
Okay. Cool. No, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because, when we say stuff up here, we like to bring them receipts. You know what I'm saying? We like to bring them the receipts. And I'm glad Verbal asked that question. And this is why I love my mods in the chat and things of that nature, because, they ask questions. And this is when you run a panel and a channel where you're actually trying to get some information out. You know what I'm saying? Welcome, Supreme Elder, DJ Music. Welcome.
Hey, how we doing, fellas? It's good to see everybody. Thank you for allowing me to come on in and get to soak up some of this knowledge. I don't know about too much.
Oh,
How we doing, brothers?
Welcome. Always welcome.
Yes, salute to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was listening to you guys earlier. There's this business of this stimulus package and all this other stuff. You hear so many people talking about this as money the government's giving us, but this is money that, if you're paying taxes, you already earned it. It's your money.
Yeah.
It is what it is. So whether we need to pay taxes on that kind of cash, on this so-called stimulus package, we got to look at it. The average home does not live on $1,200 a month.
Yeah, exactly. Verbal, you're right. They say you don't have to pay it back, but they're actually taking it away from, so you're not going to get a bigger tax return next year. So they're basically solidifying it right now by giving it to you up front, and then next year you're going to get less. So yeah, you don't have to pay it back, but that doesn't mean that your tax return next year is going to be as full as it's supposed to be.
Okay, so it looks like this is one from Credit Karma.
Credit Karma,
and it ends up talking about based on the income that you already have, and they refer to it as a credit, not actually as a.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, because I'm looking at this site called Market Watch right now, and they're saying pretty much saying the same thing what you guys saying now. Do I have to pay the stimulus money back? And the first answer I see is no, full stop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So.
Here's a line where it says, what if I don't make enough to file taxes? Some Americans don't have to file income tax returns because they don't make enough money. Most people younger than 65 who make less in a year than the standard deduction amount for their filing status won't be required to file a federal income tax return. For example, 2019 taxes, single filers younger than 65 with a gross income of less than $12,200 wouldn't be required to file a federal income tax return. Of course, they can still file if they've had federal income tax withheld from their paychecks or are eligible for a refundable credit and want to get a refund.
Mm-hmm.
But if you weren't required to file for 2018 or 2019, wouldn't have filed for any other reason and didn't receive Social Security benefits in 2019, you don't have to file just to get your stimulus payment. IRS has launched a free online portal for non-filers. You can provide information that will allow the IRS to determine your eligibility and payment amount and send a payment if you qualify for one. So why do you have to qualify for it if it's an aid and relief package?
Exactly. Well, what's the qualifications? Actually earlier today, the lady, the black lady that almost won the Georgia governor seat, Stacey Abrams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She was speaking about this early on the morning news circuit, to where they were talking about what about those people who just as you were saying, that didn't file income taxes. Are they eligible for this? And there is a few programs out there. You pretty much have to again go to the IRS, like she said, like you just said, and they'll determine if how much of that money that you'll be eligible for. But there's also some other special program that's going around like for 100 days. They're going to be doing some kind of special project for people just like that, and the elderly, to where $100,000 or something is going to be given away to people that won't qualify for this benefit.
Yep.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it looks like the two major groups that will not get a dime from coronavirus relief looks like people that make over $99,000 a year,
Mm-hmm.
and disabled veterans that did not work in the last year.
Yep.
And it's basically a prebate on one's tax refund. So if you haven't filed for 2020, it won't affect 2020, but 2021, everybody's going to see the tax refund $1,200 short, and they're going to go, well, why am I short?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Which is why they said you won't have to pay it back, because they're just giving you your tax money back just ahead of time.
Yeah, they're just paying it forward, basically.
Yep.
Well, what it is it's not actually relief. It's actually a credit on what would have been projected you would have made for 2020.
Right. Anyway,
Yes.
right. So in essence, the government's really not bailing anyone out. It's just money that you would have had coming to you one way or the other.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
And
So
when you think about how sinister that is for a moment, while the banks get the bailouts, right, with our tax money, but we, you know what, the government's like, yeah, oh yeah, we'll give you a little bit of your tax money back. Here, take $1,200. Shut up and leave us alone.
Well, what they did was if people have been out of work for almost 3 months, the 1,200 is decided on that basically.
yeah.
However, it is hinged on what you filed for 2019 taxes, which is so just think of it like you're getting 1 year of tax returns a year early.
Right.
Yeah. So that 1,200 that you're getting, because to be honest with you, when I filed taxes when I was in the military and I was single, because the state of Maryland, I was overseas. So if you're overseas for 2 consecutive years, you don't pay state taxes. Well, you still pay it, but they just give it all back to you, right? But with my state and my federal taxes, being an E4, I never saw $1,200. Right. At the most I saw like 800, maybe I clipped like 1,000 at one point in time.
Mm-hmm.
But to sit at 1,200, as a single person, you put that together, with 2 years, yeah, that makes sense. So they just giving your money forward. That's it. They're not giving you no extra. They ain't helping you out. They ain't looking out. They ain't doing jack.
So those of y'all who like to say, hey, I must use my refund check to pay for this, don't plan on it.
Right. This down in the chat room, Neek brings up a good question. Why are the people that's getting these unemployment checks and all that, especially if I'm not mistaken, the unemployment benefits are being extended? Am I correct?
Yes, you're correct. Unemployment benefits are extended for an extra 13 weeks.
Right. So would they be eligible for that 1,200 as well? I think that's the question that she's asking.
Because you still pay taxes on unemployment insurance benefits.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so does a lot of the Social Security recipients, because if they make more than if you are on Social Security and you make more than the 12,200 that's stipulated, that means that 1, you have to file taxes, and 2, you will get it, which would put you under the qualification, right?
Now, I know in North Dakota the unemployment can get as high as I think $613 a week.
Yeah.
So $613 a week is $2,400 a month, which is roughly it's actually like $28,800 a year if you were to get the full year of unemployment benefits. So it definitely puts you way over the 12,200 threshold with just unemployment.
Right, but just by saying that, Shadra, what would be the benefit of getting off unemployment?
There is actually no benefit of getting off of unemployment during this time.
Right.
Because they're actually giving people an extra, I think, $600 for unemployment check as well during this time.
Right. Exactly. So again, with all these people that's saying let's open up the country, what would be the incentive for a lot of these people to even think about going back to work now? I'm set. I'm getting a $1,200 check, and plus my unemployment is being extended for an extra 12 to 13 weeks. I'm set.
I would like to raise that question, and here's my answer.
Mm-hmm.
That's the trick bag, right? And what this is with these these Delta males like to complain about is the welfare of the single mother, but they're putting the citizen on welfare so they can push this automation agenda.
Explain.
Well, if you're getting money for nothing and you're so like the longer you stay out of work, the harder it is for you to go back to work,
Right.
mentally and physically. But it's harder for you to get in the workforce because you've been inactive for so long.
Right.
So
You have those gaps.
and then your job performance and your knowledge will go down because things change in any sector every quarter, right? New, like, just by me, like when I was working as a crane inspector, every quarter we had to do some type of new training because the system got updated and it changed. Right. So if a person's out of work in a particular sector, especially if you think the majority of Americans that are affected by this are in some type of infrastructure or service, right? In the service area, they're the first ones to get hit with this automation. You push the automation, you lull people to sleep with this free money. That money's going to dry up. They're going to be out of jobs. They're going to be on something. Now, you got to think about a lot of these Americans, they got pre-existing conditions. So they can't even work in the sector that they are in, right? Healthcare system is overloaded. Think about it. All of the attention is dedicated to this virus. So if you got any healthcare problems, and I remember Classic Ruby's talking about it because she's in Canada, and she said that she can't even deal with her issues because she has to call in because if it ain't got nothing to do with the virus, they talk to you over the phone.
Right.
So they can't get the help that they need. So what are they going to do? They're going to self-medicate, right? Now you get a rise in not even opioid addictions, but illegal substances. And what did that do? That they're not going to send you to rehab. They're going to send you to jail. So now you get to fill up these prisons again with slave labor. You get this other stuff. You push this automation agenda, and then bam, right? You done fast track the company forward to catch up without no one knowing it, and you catching out. Like,
and one of the things that people aren't realizing, yes, you have the automation from the kiosks at like McDonald's, Burger King. A lot of these jobs that black people used to have, they're not going to be there at the end of this thing. As a matter of fact, even if those jobs are there, they're most likely going to push hiring white people because who's president right now, and make America great again, right? Which means white people got to work. Middle America, white America's got to go back to work because guess what? They're going to be the ones voting for me in November.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're going to see a lot of people. Go ahead.
We'll leave it to America to never take it, never not take advantage of a tragedy.
Oh yeah,
they always do, don't they? They find first they find a victim to blame it on, then they find a victim to exploit.
Yeah, and most black people will find themselves, even if they have the qualifications, a lot of them will find themselves without jobs because guess what? There's a white person waiting for that very same job because 3 of those other jobs have been cut by automation. And if you've done the research, or if any of us have done the research, we all know that on average, it's easier for a white felon to find a job than a black person who has no criminal background, period.
Yeah.
Well, here's the other thing, right? A job, let's just say an infrastructure, like you was talking about earlier, Shardra, right? About a person that barely got a high school diploma, or if not of where you're at right now, they can get like a $60,000 to $90,000 a year job, right? The price of it is going down. So if they was to go back to work, that $60,000 to $90,000 a year job where they're at high risk, right? Is because that's why they're getting paid that money. Let's not be, whatever.
Yes.
Right, that job is now going to go down to a $30,000 job, $30,000 to maybe $40,000 job, right? So they got no choice but to go back to work. And if they don't want to go back to work, okay, let's just say, this minority goes to work, but he's only going to get what, 35 at the most for that job.
If it's a $40,000 a year job,
yeah, he's going to get that offer sheet and he's got to take it because he needs to work, right? So what they're redoing is with this whole thing is they're resetting everything. They're killing the inflation. They're resetting everything back, and goods and services are actually being, supply and demand, right? Because you got all these bodies. Now, the other thing is this is doing is pushing out all this top heavy, right? all these people that's been in these jobs for 15, 20 years, and these companies can't lay them off because they unionize, right? They can't force them out, right? Because then they'll get sued. So what this does is, because you're not at work and you're non-essential, they can actually cut your employment. Because once you accept the unemployment, that means you don't have a job anymore, even though you're furloughed off. So once you accept unemployment, you run the risk of saying, I don't have a job. So you ineffectively put your resignation in once you receive that unemployment.
Yep.
Trick bag. Wow.
The trick bag.
So I know we tried to stay away from the COVID conversation a little bit, but you got to give credence to a lot of these folks that start coming up with these, as they call them, the conspiracy theorists, that think that maybe all this is part of some diabolical plan somewhere. Because you think about this, even after all this is done, the real semblance of normalcy won't really take effect, especially in poor communities, for years to come.
That's true, but this is normalcy in poor communities, right?
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? Like waiting for your tax return check to come just to get your head above water. Feel like good times. It's just for the whole world right now, right? You know what I'm saying? We just don't got Florida Evans saying damn, damn, damn.
True.
It's what I've noticed, because I've talked to a lot of my friends back home, and they're saying, man, this is the first time that I felt like a regular person in America being black, because the police ain't worried about us. They worried about white folk because they ain't listening to stay in the house.
Right.
They don't got time to be dealing with us. They don't even bother us. Matter of fact, the white people come on outside of town to get goods and stuff because they ain't got it in their side. Right. And they're actually, he said, the white people are more safe in our neighborhoods than they do in their own, because they got guns and they looking at each other sideways, and we just leave them alone. Like so, and this is why I say it's like this is a major reset to everything, and we have an opportunity to realize, okay, if you're black and you don't feel like you belong to America, right, then you need to start taking those things that immigrants use, right? That mindset, right? But your community is your country, and your community is your country, and you need to bring those resources outside of your country into the community and figure out a way to build wealth within your communities. Because what they're basically saying is we're going to reset and wipe away the point, and this is going to be a starting factor. And that older generation they're getting pushed away in the wayside, and this gentrification thing is happening all over the world. It's a worldwide thing, because now they're doing this worldwide trading in markets and stuff. And and the one thing is that the thing about what they would say the white privilege is actually a good thing, because if a person feels privileged about something, they have this pride about them that they don't want to do the jobs that's necessary to keep their self above, above board, basically. You know what I'm saying? And we don't have a problem with doing it. No minority has a problem with doing it. Black people, if you look around, like when I went back to Baltimore in 2016, I knew Trump was going to get elected, because when I rolled around, in every service thing and everything, it was black people working in those stores. There was black people working. Like I walked into a Coach store with my wife. She was buying some shoes. The manager was black, right? The people that was serving were black. It was one white person in there. It was a white guy, and he was gay. That was it. When I went upstairs to the store to get me a SIM card for my cell phone for Verizon, guess what? Black people. The whole store was black. We in downtown Inner Harbor, in the gallery, like a high-priced, a high-priced gallery place. The only person that actually had a place, a business, was this white guy. I think he was Greek, and he had a tailored suit store that's been there ever since I was 8 years old. And I went to get a suit and a shirt and a tie and some shoes out of there, right? And guess who served me? He was behind the counter doing his inventory, and there was a brother there showing me the new cuts and everything, the European suits and the fabrics and stuff. So we're everywhere, and this is Baltimore's majority black. But if you look in the major cities, this is what's being inhabited. What's going on? WVN World Blog Network, formerly known as BMT. What's cracking with you? Thank you for stopping by. But that's, you know what I mean? Like, this is normacy for us. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's affecting us because we can't go to work or we're used to doing X, Y, and Z. But you notice black people are taking it, but they're not taking it as hard as the majority. Right? Because we lived through this for what, 500-600 years? This is,
Yeah,
you
you got a point. You got a point.
Yeah. Nah. Like, it's nah to us, right?
Yeah.
It's nah. Like, you know, nah. Like, but that's not a good thing also, because while we're mad, we're not witnessing the opportunity that's laid in front of our face. And this time, let's not repeat history and get to a point where we made it. You know what I'm saying? We got civil rights. Oh man, we got hit with this crack epidemic. Oh man, we made it. We got a black president. Oh man, Trump in office. They're going to black folk. Oh no, you got to keep your foot on their neck.
So what you're saying is, doing this this America's downtime of economic struggle, it's a good time for us as Black Americans to level the playing field a little bit, because we all starting at ground zero again, coming out the box.
Yeah,
We're applicable. I have some innate fears about the fact that a lot of these people who own the businesses, or a lot of these places that have people. So you remember that Cerulean did a live stream sometime back talking with where he played the clip of Dr. Sandy Darity saying the average black person has less than 10% of the wealth of a white person. So your average white family has, what is it, like $50,000 in wealth?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And that is going to be something that, even though this COVID is a reset, it will not affect that innate wealth yet.
exactly. Yep.
And that's something that I'm worried about, because that innate wealth, people who have the wealth are capable of doing things like, oh, the stock market just crashed. Let me buy up all these stocks and raise my family. If I got $10,000 to throw at an oil stock, right, that I know is $5 now, but was $50 before the crash.
Right. Like those senators did once they got the information about what's going on, they sold off some stock and reinvested in others.
Yes. Yep. So what I'm worried about is that calcification of wealth once again, where, you know, if the average white family has a certain amount of wealth and they start shoving it into things, and then again they get a second leg up on us, where we may have the leg up in terms of workforce and labor force, right? But just that innate amount of money they have to begin with gives them a monetary advantage,
right? Because
when it comes to the economy,
their wealth is generational.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. And the way that you make generational wealth, you build it through generations, but it's passed on through death. Like a lot of here's another thing about black folk is, you know, and people from the chat, you know, you can say yeah, no, or whatever, but how many people, you know, we don't like to think about this as black folk, but how many people got a proper life insurance policy? Is your will drawn up? You know what I mean? Like, do you have that? Because that's really how, you know, if you have been working so long and doing whatever you're doing, a lot of people that pass away, because you got to think about it. In the state of New York, they had all them deaths, right?
Yeah.
Think about those people. They still got to pay those bills, those debts. Like, do those people have life insurance policies on them where the life insurance policy can take care of the debt, bury the person, and actually will money to the next generation, so they're building wealth through debt.
Right.
You know, like it's very very key that this happens, and I see this in different facets of society with different people. I've seen it many a times where people that came around in the neighborhood because someone then died, whether they're young or old, and they had to take collections just to bury a person. You know, and one thing I remember my grandmother doing is the insurance man used to come to my grandmother's house, right? And he used to come at the same time every month. Old Jewish man, right? Little small Jewish man, and he used to sit in my grandmother's living room, and they would go over the books and they would have the policies, right? And I remember my mom walking me into the room, when I was about 10 years old, right? And she introduced me to the insurance man, and my younger uncles, they just turned 20. They had their jobs and they walked in there with they $100 to start the policy. Um and and then my young aunt was in there, she was paying for her policy, and the whole family was in there paying their policy. Even my uncles that didn't live in the house, even my aunts that didn't live in the house, they all came down, all 9 children, and their spouses and stuff. And they all, and my older cousins, and they came in there and they paid this man, and everybody had their policies. Never, like, at that time, I didn't realize what it was, but I understood. My grandmother passed just last year. My family didn't worry. They didn't have to worry about burying my grandmother. My mother passed. They didn't have to worry about burying her. My uncle passed. Nobody had to worry about burying. Actually, when my uncle passed, his life insurance policy was so good, he paid off all the credit card debt, paid off the rest of the house, and left my aunt with $100,000.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? At 70 years old. Like, and she's good. My aunt, my uncle died in 2005. And my aunt's good. She just retired maybe 3 or 4 years ago. House been paid off, like when he passed, and she's sitting on a half an acre of land.
Right.
And her house right now, when they bought the house, it was $150,000. It was only $30,000 left on the house when he passed. But that house now, where they at in Severn, Maryland, is worth about $1.5 million.
Wow.
Right?
That's
That's wealth.
That's a come up. Definitely is.
That's wealth. That's wealth straight up and down. Nothing. You know what I'm saying? Nothing. And people don't realize that that's how you build generational wealth. You build it while you're alive, and you pass that wealth on, because you can't take the money with you when you're dead. You can't take it with you. So, but we don't like to think about that. But that's how you build it, and you teach finance. And that's one thing that we need to focus on with us is, with these platforms, we need to teach finance, but not in this mystical, if you could just take $5,000 and invest it in this stock. Who in their right mind got $5,000 in this day and age just in liquor?
And not most of Black America. I promise you that shit.
That's sad but true. It's sad but true. Again, they always throw these statistics at us that the average person don't have $400 in tangible money if an emergency happens in a bank account. People think they're just talking about black folks. No, they talk about white folks too. They don't have that kind of money like that.
No, they don't. And if they did, they wouldn't have an opioid epidemic in crisis.
Right.
Exactly.
Nope, sure enough.
You know what I'm saying? So most people, and here's the trick bag, consumerism, instant. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember when you had to order something with a check or a money order, You know, what I mean, they had them little infomercials, 1995, 3 easy
Mhm.
pay, COD, and all that other stuff, right? Now you can just get on Amazon with your bank card and order stuff, credit card, PayPal. You know what I mean? They're making it's more consumer friendly, but that's to get you spend more money. You know, the home deliveries are on the rise right now. Like Uber Eats is killing it right now.
All right.
Uber,
Yeah, but they're getting you to spend money you don't have because you ain't making it.
All right.
now I saw this. I think one of y'all put that in the chat or something. How Shake Shack got a $10 million bailout loan from the government and they gave it back.
Gave it back. Yeah, I saw that. I forgot where I saw that at, but you know, that's one of those businesses that they ought to be commended on situations like that, to where the government tried to hand you some money that you know what, this money could go somewhere else. I don't need it.
Well,
It's too bad other folks don't look at it like that.
well, the other thing is that if you think about it, do you really like if you go to McDonald's, how many people actually sit in McDonald's and eat?
It's rarely a full house in there, not
Yeah,
unless it's doing lunchtime and the McDonald's is close to where you work.
exactly. They grab their stuff and they go, right?
Right.
Most people go through they rather go through like I didn't went to McDonald's where the drive-through line was longer than the one that's inside. I used to just park the car and just walk in and get my food and be out, and people still be in the drive-through line
Yeah.
waiting on their stuff, right? Like, you know, if you really think about it, you know, other than like I can see a place like Starbucks getting, you know, they gonna have to take that because they, you know, most of the time when you go to Starbucks, it's packed in there because people doing business meetings, you know, stuff like that. But if you look at it this day and age, a lot of things are going to change. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things are going to change. You know, I was talking to a friend. I said, man, if I had the bread right now, after this thing calmed down, this is when you bring back the drive-through movie theater.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, social distancing, sit in your car, watch the movie in your car. Like
Mhm.
that's the plan, you know, drive through movie theater. Drive-in movie.
That would be something nice to see again. A nice old drive through. Go up and sit in your own car, and not have to worry about people going to use the bathroom, stepping over you, coming back, stepping over you,
Yeah, they
walking
come
in
up
front of the
and deliver your
screen.
food, deliver your high-priced stale popcorn
Right.
with that margarine they call butter. You know, this is going to be like you're going to see some new stuff. You're going to see some old stuff come back into play. But the one thing that I did notice is that you're going to see people more involved with their friends, more involved with their neighbors. People going to start getting in their tribes because people, for them to survive these next 5 years, you're going to need to lend on other people. People going to be borrowing cups of sugar from their neighbor again.
Yeah, the good old days. But you know, again, now listening to what, of course, some of the stuff that we discussed, you know, with all these guys preaching individualism, how soon, how can you get back to that when everybody's saying let's lead the collective and you go out there and make it on your own?
Well,
That's utter nonsense.
yeah, yeah. Like
Okay,
I saw a news article where a woman, she was talking to her dad because he was alone in the hospital. He was a block up the street, and you know he was about to pass from the complications of the virus. And she stayed on the phone with her father for 5 hours until he finally was gone. Right, right. And what she instantly did at that point, in the article, is her mom, because of mom and dad separated, um, instantly told her mom, "You gonna come to my house right now, and you know, me and my husband will move into the guest bedroom. We'll give you the master bedroom, right?" And you know, her mom was like, "Well, she's like, the house will be there when you get back, when this is over, but you're gonna be here because I don't want that to happen again."
Hmm.
Right? You're gonna go you're gonna go. This is basically forcing everybody to go back to the nuclear family.
The family, yeah, I would agree with you on that. I think really, and those who try to get away from that will be, they'll fall by the wayside. I think this is, although this virus is nature is selecting who to take and who not to take. I think the other wave of it will be those who can adjust and adapt to society as coming out of this as us brand new again.
Yep. I would say this virus is actually debunking the argument of rugged individualism.
Yeah, actually it is. It really is.
Yeah. And if you wasn't chosen before, you definitely ain't gonna be chosen now, because you can't meet the what the esteemed brother Cerulean always says, the burden of performance.
Mm.
The burden of performance. And this is this is something that even as we talk about it and we speak about this, this is something that we haven't, that as a species of humanity, we've seen this happen, right? But in our generation, we haven't seen this happen, right? And you read through the histories, the bubonic plague, you know what I'm saying, and all of that stuff. But if you've noticed, what I've noticed with countries and how they run things, there is no perfect system on how to run a country, because if you look at these third world countries that's more authoritarian, they're not getting hit as hard as the ones that have these so-called civil liberties running around them.
True that. And those bamboo canes to whip you when they caught you out of the house when you wasn't supposed to be.
Exactly. Get your butt in the house. What you doing?
Right.
What are you doing? There's a time and a place for everything. And this is not one of those times where you want to exercise your rights of civil liberties, because you're putting not only yourself in harm's way, but you're putting your family in harm's way. You're putting the next man in harm's way. Yeah. You have to be cognizant of these things, and a lot of these, then the people that are violating these a lot is this younger generation, because people take things for granted once it's taken away from you, and then they want to fight with you. Because I saw this thing with these protests of the social distancing protesting and stuff. They protesting. I want to be outside, right? Right. I want to be outside, right? You know what I mean? And this comes from the participation trophies. You know what I mean? That PC culture. You can't really tell him what to do. He's just acting out. Let Billy have the ice cream.
Well, I know my rights.
I know my rights. Yeah, exactly. Just give him the candy, George. God, for God's sake, Billy, you can't have the candy because you're.
But I want it now.
You're 8 years old and you got diabetes, and we got to give you insulin shots, and we can get you off of this, but I want the candy. I want the candy. It's like, this is resetting a lot of stuff. PC culture, social distancing, a lot of things. And this is where I say that the universe is undefeated. Like my mom would say all the time, and she would say this. She would say, "If I don't get you, God gonna get you." And what she really meant was, if I don't correct you, then the way I take it is the universe will get you, because life don't care about you. Like it don't. Like the laws of the universe are really undefeated. Things. Good things happen to bad people, like bad things happen to good people. It's just. Like you said, Supreme Elder, you put your hand in that bag of all shit, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Stick your hand deep in it sometimes and pull out a big handful of shit.
So it's just a lot of people, they just don't want to live with it. Right? Yeah, you don't want to live with it. You know, and going on. And what I like to do is go around here, get these final thoughts from everybody, because I like to keep streams at least 2 hours at the most, because we got stuff to do, even though it don't feel like it. And I like to, everybody go around and drop, their channel links and what's coming up for the rest of the week, because we always got content on all these channels, and y'all can and support the other content creators that are on the panel. And everything. But before that, I'd like to thank Neek for stopping by. Everyone from the Ebony Star Network, the Gray Regime, our super supreme mod, Just Ask Char, Vonda, you know what I'm saying, Oni. I hope I'm saying it right, because I remember Char was pronouncing it right. Thank you for stopping by. Poetic Kels, Classic Ruby. She be hiding out on my panel. She don't want to show up on my panel. We like to hear what she got to say. I see how it is, Ruby. I'd like to thank everybody. Please drop the associated links to your channels in the chat. And what I'll do is we'll go around, and then I'll give the Supreme Elder the floor, and then I'll bring up the rear, and we'll end out the stream, and stuff like that. So the esteemed Cerulean, go ahead.
Well, gratitude for having me, esteemed Dre. Tomorrow, we will be live on the Cerulean Great channel. Be on the lookout for title. I haven't really worked out a title yet, or a topic for that matter. I kind of like to just get triggered, right before I go live. So just be on the lookout. So that's coming tomorrow. Thursday, we will be right back on GrayRegime.tv for another Gray Regime Reviews. We are going to be reviewing a very interesting movie called Obsession, featuring Mekhi Phifer, in which he's a brother going around state to state looking for work, being turned down left and right. Traveled a very long way to become a farmhand for this white family. And really it was this older, backyardigan kind of white man from, I don't know if it was the rural South, with his mail order bride. And he helps this lady kill his husband, her husband. And it actually takes the fall for her. And we're going to talk about that because there's all kind of dereliction running rampant in that movie.
I tried to hold it, but I know it was coming.
And of course, we will have the derelict translator on deck with the angrier man. Not to be confused with the angry man, but the angrier man, because he is much angrier.
Exactly.
And then Sunday, we're going to do a double header once again on the Gray Regime.tv, Gray Regime Reviews, Brewster's Millions, and then we're going to come right back with Trading Places back to back, because those movies have so much in common. Recommendations of our esteemed Just DeAndre.
Yeah, buddy. Oh, yeah, the Richard Prize. Yeah, man.
It was the Dukes. It was the Dukes.
Eddie Murphy. It was the Richard Pryor and his predecessor. You know what I'm saying? Eddie Murphy. Yeah, buddy. Right, you know what I'm saying? We have Steve Sergeant Kersley. You know what I'm saying? The general in charge of all gaming and so forth.
And I'm going to have to hand that title off to Crew, because Crew's got that beast of a computer now. We just got to get him on that timeliness thing. But like we were talking about, make sure that during this period that you're making sure your money's straight, making sure your family's straight, and don't think you're just in it for yourself. There's other people who will suffer if you're not around. So take the best care of yourself, because the community is not made up of just one person, but without one person, the community can suffer.
Exactly. And last but not least, but our supreme elder, DJ Music.
Well, folks, it's always a pleasure spitting out knowledge and mostly receiving knowledge. You know, you just that old thing of you say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Hanging around you folks, that's absolutely false. You know, I learned a lot of things hanging around you folks over here. But tomorrow, I guess myself and Shar will be on my radio station over there, GSRN Radio, doing the On the Beat. Of course, we'll talk about a little bit of this, a little bit of that, some surprise guests, and unfortunately, on my radio station, we have to cover the coronavirus a little bit, so we'll talk about that a little bit. So you folks are always welcome to stop on in and drop in the chat room, interactive chat room over there. So it's just always nice to have you, and you're always welcome there. So appreciate you having me here tonight. Thank you very much.
Oh, anytime. You're always welcome. Everybody's always welcome. I like to thank everyone in the chat. Maud, you've been great, wonderful, everybody. I'm working on getting the Streamlabs OBS cracking. It's really is going to give me a step-by-step, and I'm going to do some research. So that's my homework for this coming week. I hope to be consistent with these streams and stuff, but I just want to just do some talking today and just keep it kind of free flowing with the topic and things like that. I think everything's been hit on. Everybody's dropped the associated links with their channels and stuff like that. Thank you very much for the people that stopped by the panel for your support and everything like that. But I'm going to let everybody go. I hope y'all enjoy your night. Thank you. And no one's going to beg you to be great. And let's really end off with the last moniker.
It has been an honor and a pleasure. Salute to the nation. Ebon Noblesse or nothing, and long live the black nobility.
Y'all have a great night. And I'll see you gentlemen that's on the panel and the wonderful people that are in the chat in GS13 Superclass 5 back chat. Y'all have a good night and stay safe.